This is ABC News Nightline. Reporting from Washington, Ted Koppel.
Good evening. The focus of our broadcast tonight was and remains the situation in Poland. But late this evening, one of the world's great entertainers and musicians, John Lennon of the Beatles, was shot outside his New York home. So we begin tonight by bringing you up to date on that story. John Lennon was shot 3 times at around 11 p.m. Eastern Time. He was rushed to New York's Roosevelt Hospital, but died a few minutes later. Police have a suspect in custody whom they describe only as a local screwball.
Standing in the dockets of Hampton, trying to get to Holland or France. The man in the Mac says you've got to go back. You know they didn't even give us a chance. Christ, you know it ain't easy.
It should come as no surprise that when traditional religion started fading in the United States, that the entertainment culture would take over, and then celebrityism, if you want to call it, would become the religion of our society. Celebrities would be raised to a cult status, and as we see with a lot of celebrities, they end up finding that they have some very zealous fans who track them, stalk them, and they end up having to go to court, hide from them, and call the police. John Lennon was gunned down 30 years ago on December 8th, 1980, and if anybody ever reached the cult status, it was the Beatles. In fact, there were numerous scenes where people would throw children at the Beatles and have the Beatles touching them, hoping that their kids would be healed. In fact, some people actually thought their kids had been healed by a Beatle touching them. John Lennon complained that at their concerts, there would be children in wheelchairs outside their dressing rooms and posed in front of the stage, hoping that some kind of healing power would come off of the Beatles. John Lennon was originally attracted to all the celebrity surrounding the Beatles and their music and their status, but eventually he became very disenamored with it and wanted to find a way to get away from it. He was always attacking the celebrity status, the Beatles especially in his later years. Eventually John Lennon, instead of basking in fame, began working against it, especially when he married Yoko Ono. He was roundly criticized in the British press. In fact, Yoko Ono was called some bad names by the British press and really upset John Lennon. And when they tried to get married, I mean, it was very, very difficult. And that's why he ended up writing the song, The Ballad of John and Yoko, where he expresses some of his angst about the press. What Lennon came to see was the fact his celebrity status had erased his identity as a human being. He kept saying in quotes, "I cannot live up to what people want me to be. I am a real human being." And he would actually look at the camera. I saw one interview where he looked at the camera and he said, "Yes, folks, I do use the bathroom." So what he was trying to say is that he was a normal person. He was not this image that the press had basically set up. He was an actual person, not just an image.
Why did you kill John Lennon?
I thought by killing him, I would acquire his fame.
So what was set up for people like John Lennon was the illusion of celebrity. And the problem with the illusion of celebrity is the fans. One of John Lennon's biggest fans was Mark David Chapman, who was the fellow who ended up gunning John Lennon down some 30 years ago. Chapman identified with Lennon so much that he married an older Japanese woman. He would go to work with, on his badge, he would have John Lennon instead of his own name. So he totally identified with John Lennon. And when he went to New York searching out Lennon, he read an Esquire interview, a 1980 Esquire interview magazine that Lennon had refused to be interviewed for, which basically posed John Lennon as a wealthy recluse who had sold out. These kind of things, when Chapman read them, it disillusioned him. All of a sudden, this image that had been portrayed in the press about John Lennon didn't live up to the standards that Chapman wanted. So he started seeing John Lennon as an enemy, as someone who has sold out his ideals. Of course, these things were basically not true, but that doesn't matter in the religion of celebrity. When the religious figure doesn't live up to standards, then there's disillusionment. At the end of the day, in our present time, I think the ironic thing is that John Lennon, who ran from celebrity status, today is one of the biggest celebrities in the world. There's probably nobody who is more covered, more written about than John Lennon. So, amazingly so, even though he fought against it, the ghost of celebrity still haunts John Lennon.